Well, hello there and welcome to another episode of Back to the Clubs with me, Major K. I'm a DJ, producer and record label boss, and in this series I'm talking to other DJs about their club experiences. In what way is a good club defined by the people going there? How did they start DJing? And are you gonna go my way? Those are but a few of the questions I'm asking every week, and the answers are often surprising. In previous episodes we had Insulate, MI and JD as guests, amongst others. Today, British DJ living in Berlin, S. Ruston. But first, be sure to subscribe to Back to the Clubs in your podcast app. Give the show a raving rating too, it helps more people find the podcast. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/officialmajork, where you can get bonus content by subscribing and of course supporting. Like for instance a free download of one of the tracks of my record label Flash Forward Presents, and this preamble is simply gone. Do check my 2 weekly mixed podcast Flash Forward Presents with Major K in your podcast app as well. Find me as @officialmajork on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and TikTok, and support Ukraine by buying merchandise in my online dance music merchandise store, flashinghotshop.com. S. Ruston then got to interview her in the flesh at AZUA Tennis Club in Antwerp, Belgium, only yesterday. It's the reason why this episode dropped on Saturday instead of the regular Fridays as well. But what was she doing at a tennis club, you say? Well, she made a soundtrack for a dance performance created by Sophie Guisset on one of the clay courts over there. Brilliant, riveting and tantalising stuff. Loved it. As Ruston resides, as said, in Berlin nowadays, and the well-known club has everything to do with that. So without further ado, enjoy the show. Here we go.
Back to the Clubs with Major K.
Okay, today with a very special edition of Back to the Clubs, recorded outside for the first time, because normally we do that on Squadcast, which is an online environment. Now we are sitting in the same location at the tennis club in the sun.
Yeah.
It's kind of great to do it like this, no?
Yeah, it's really nice. Got a good blonde beer here and we're overlooking some tennis courts.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that as well.
There is. We're not having a rave at the tennis court, but
too bad.
I know. I did sort of pretend I was DJing one when I made a little story and a photo, and I had so many friends replying, "Oh my goodness, you're playing in a tennis court." But I was like, "Yeah, it's not a rave, but it is a performance, and that's really exciting."
I'm gonna make you jealous a little bit.
Yes.
Because a couple of years ago, I played at Center Court. I did a DJ set the end of the season, summer season. So, and that was really exciting to do that. First time that we did that, and it was, so much fun. Really, so much fun.
It makes for an okay dance floor.
Yeah, it really does, and it gives that extra. Yeah, it's something extra, you know.
Yeah, I would be tempted to turn the sprinklers on.
Oh God! I'm so glad that you weren't there at that moment. That's not polite to say. I would have loved of you to be there, but the sprinklers at that time perhaps not a good idea.
Oh, memorable.
Memorable indeed. So you're from the UK?
Yeah.
But you're not living in the UK at the moment?
I'm in Berlin. I've been there for like 12 years.
Yeah.
Living there. Mostly. I did spend about a year in London and a year kind of here, there and everywhere. But really the most part of 12 years.
Why the move to Berlin?
It's a bit cliche, but I went to Berghain. But it was for a bass music night, but I don't know. I guess it was speaking to my queer self that I wasn't really aware of, and I just knew I needed to be in Berlin. So I knew I needed to leave Bristol. I'd spent a lot of time in London. I was there most weekends, and I was deciding London or Berlin. But at the time, Berlin used to be cheap, and it was an adventure.
Used to be, so now it's not that cheap anymore?
Yeah, it's not so cheap now. Rent. Anyone who's knows anyone who's moved there, it's really, really difficult to find an apartment where you can get your aanmelding, which is to register, and rent prices risen a lot, and the typical gentrification story.
Yeah, that's a shame, because Berlin has a lot to offer and has that like raw vibe. But as time goes by, I think that's becoming less and less, or
a little less poor and sexy.
I hope. Well, the poor thing, that's perhaps a good thing, but the sexy thing, that should remain every time. Yeah, and so that's what you have when you do a live recording outside when there's some aircraft.
Yeah,
it's the only aircraft that we had today, but during the interview, it's there. Ladies and gentlemen, that's something that happens. So okay, and in the UK, did you start playing music there, or?
Yeah, I moved to Bristol. I'd been living in Wales a bit.
Okay, so you're from Bristol, or?
I grew up in the West Country in Gloucestershire and Wales. So Mum was in Gloucestershire and Dad was in Wales in a horse riding farm. Yeah. So I kind of spent my time mixed up. And then I did my A-levels in Wales, and then I moved to Bristol.
Yeah.
And, classic story of music just helping me through some difficult times, and arriving in Bristol and meeting some music people. I used to hand out flyers outside clubs. Bristol used to be it still is. It's got 2 universities. It used to have a whole lot of clubs, really big drum and bass, garage, hip-hop nights. And I used to hand out flyers for a party called Life. It was like a jungle hip-hop and garage night. And there was a bunch of us. We would stand outside at 3 or 4 in the morning giving out physical flyers to people, because there was no Facebook then.
You needed to do that.
Exactly.
That, yeah.
We were literally giving people flyers for the next party.
And it's worked as well, of course. It really worked. So I've been to Bristol once. I didn't manage to go to a club though, which was a kind of a shame, but it was like the Christmas period, and there wasn't a lot going on at that moment. So, but the club scene in is mainly in London, I think, in the UK, or do you have
in
like
all the cities, especially the university cities, even if they're small? Yeah. You can get quite vibey. Smaller cities, and I'm now trying to think, but it's good. I mean, the UK music industry is great. It's alive, and it always has been. That's a big statement, but
but it's
it really
true
is
in every respect, and in every genre. It's like really kind of apart from what comes from America, it's really dominant. Like the UK scene is really you had the 90s, and even now, it's still very influential, even in dance music, when you have had people as well in the 90s, like Chemical Brothers, like Prodigy, like that. Me too. Me too. Exactly. I thought that was brilliant, and I think that those kind of acts really made me fall in love with dance music, because if you grow up with like a more rock and roll kind of vibe, and then you have people who use that kind of vibe in dance music, it kind of links the two, and you're all set. So
like with that 90s sound, for sure, it did. It did have those rocky elements at times, or that attitude, or the punk attitude, but just brought forward.
What's your sound at this moment?
It's maybe a bit pretentious, but I've started calling it bass-informed techno.
Bass-informed techno.
I love the word informed, because it is what informs the music that I play, because I come from the bass music scene. Right. But I live in a city, and I live in a music industry where techno does lead the way, and it's sort of how can I bring those sounds, and I'm really into polyrhythms and broken beats, and all of my past musical history informs my music today. So bass informed techno, rave, and some euphoria.
That's quite a description. And so if you say that the kind of interrupted beats, it's like more quirky or
broken rhythms, off beats. That's essentially comes from black music. So Yeah.
So there's a kind of a jazz influence then there as well.
Yeah, with the Amen break and with a lot of breaks that get used in drum and bass, a lot of them come from jazz.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and that's something that you can really, get away with isn't exactly the word, but get away with in Berlin.
Yeah, it's funny. Like sometimes people are a bit surprised that I'm playing that, but I would say that I use techno or 4/4 as a framework, and then once I build up the trust of an audience, then I'll start swerving and dropping in more broken beats and more break beats and more rave and euphoria, and then I can bring it back to a bit straighter 4/4 and then diverge again, and it really depends on the crowd and how we're going with that.
Yeah, because I noticed that in the soundtrack of Wilson, the dance performance that is being performed here at AZUA Tennis in Belgium by Sophie Guisset, that is there as well. So that you have your 4/4, but you try to get sounds kind of contradicting the 4/4 as well.
Yeah, it was all about the bass. I knew once I'd been to a few rehearsals that I wanted to use this particular pulsating bass.
Yeah.
I knew. Even though I'd used it in another way in another track, I knew that was what was needed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of really centers around that, and then
Yeah.
It builds into a climax.
It's kind of you could put it like that exactly. This isn't the only producing work that you do.
I mean, I started off just making music, dance music. In fact, when I was in school and I was in music class and everyone else was making compositions for their, I don't know, clarinet or guitar or singing, and I wanted to make electronic music, and my teacher gave me an Atari and a cupboard and a microphone and a 4-track recorder.
Yeah.
So I'd always wanted to do it. But I always wanted to make music for dance and performance, for dancers. So this is really like a dream for me, definitely. I hope this is just the beginning.
It combines loads of stuff that you're really interested in and really into. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the clubs now.
Okay, back to the club.
What was the first club you ever went to? So not as a DJ, not as a performer, but just the first club that you ever had a little dance.
Lakota in Bristol, which is still going now. I think it might finally be turned into luxury apartments, but yeah.
Well, finally, that's... I know what you mean.
It survived
like,
for
come
that
on,
long.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah, Lakota is an institution of Bristol, and it's been through the 90s rave days, and there's something about the architecture of the club that I think the best clubs are ones that you can circle around in and keep moving to different areas, and I don't know, like a Mobius strip or something, you just keep going around, and how do I explain it? Yeah, you can loop around the place constantly. You can keep moving. I think those make for really good clubs, the ones that you can stay the longest in.
Yeah. Because if you only have one room and the DJ isn't doing... They always do their best, but sometimes it's not what you want at that moment.
Yeah, or you just need to go to a chill out room, or you want to climb up the stairs and go on a balcony and look down, or go over here and do this thing over there. And just like that ability to choose different areas. And, those clubs, you can go and have a different experience every time.
Yeah.
So Lakota's one of those, really. But
Cool.
I went to see Judge Jules.
Oh, really?
I don't think I've ever said that publicly before.
What an admission then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Judge Jules. Although back in the day, he was part of the early house movement coming to the UK. So, I won't shit on him.
No. He has earned the respect just for that, Yeah. And so, okay, you've been clubbing over there for the first time, and then your music career started, kind of. You had your first gig booked. What club was that at?
I think it was... I love this place, the Arc Bar in Bristol. It was like this really old building opposite the courts. and it was like 3 stories high, and it was really designed a bit like Mad Max. It had like metal decoration everywhere. It was just really unique and special. And so I played the Arc Bar, and that was thanks to a real Bristol hero called Dr. Moody. He was brilliant. So he was the one to give me my first club gig, and it was a warm-up, and it was all vinyl back then. There were no CDJs, so yeah.
And how did he get to know you?
I think I was going to like new school breakbeat parties, blow pop, and he's quite a character. I can't remember. Maybe I played. Was that my first club? I think it was. And then I played with a friend for a party in Blue Mountain. Upstairs, and I remember we dropped to this techno track, and people went absolutely nuts, and we had to squat under the decks. We were laughing so much at this reaction. I think those were like 2 of my first gigs.
And you still remember them after all those years, so it must be really made an impression.
I think I remember all of my gigs if I think about places and clubs and certain memories from each one. Most of them.
That's cool. If you can kind of have your history all memorized by just the environment, perhaps the people you were with, the food you ate, that kind of stuff. For you, when you're playing at the club, what are you looking for in such a club? What does a club need to really be the best it can be?
That's a big question. I was actually on the way here talking to the other performers about, I just played a club in Sevilla which was cooperatively owned, and they can't pay much, but the love that got put into that space, the love of the sound system, they've got a speaker stack and then these huge 4 speakers like pointing down at the dance floor. I think it's really important that co-ops own clubs, and I think sound system is really important. Like my friends at Fold, they're constantly updating, they're constantly tweaking the sound system. They're absolute nerds, and they're just constantly tweaking, updating, bringing in new speakers. I think that's really exciting.
And that's not because they see other clubs doing that as well.
No,
it's just because they have that drive.
A lot of clubs just stick a system in and then it stays there for like 15, 20 years. So and then they get hammered. So
it's kind of a dedication and professionalism if you try to update what you have there and not stick with we already paid for that, so it's fine.
Exactly. It's like the less capitalistic owners, the better, I think. Hopefully no carpets. That's something that the UK seems to love.
I think it's tradition, no? Something like that. Sticky carpets. You don't want to know what fluids and whatever are still in there from like 30 years ago. Just don't think about that. Sorry to have brought it up right now, because now you are thinking about that, but it's like that. And I think what we do here, and I think that's Berlin as well, is more like a factory atmosphere, like more the concrete walls, the concrete floors, the things that work.
I guess each city has those industrial spaces, the Kellers or the cellars type spaces. You just have these spaces that lend themselves to the rave. In Bristol there's a lot of wine cellar type places there. I used to joke I love a good sweaty basement. I mean, I still joke I love a good sweaty basement as well. They all bring their own vibe. They really do. And if it's cozy and intimate, it kind of is more memorable as well. Like I'm a resident at Renata, and that's just like a big house party. You're literally in a big like house block and going up the stairs, like just like in a big house.
Because I think that Sean of Shambo Jabang, that's a friend of mine who runs the Underground Collective label from Manchester. He was saying that as well, that Renate is one of his favorite clubs, just because what you said. It
has a vibe about it. Totally.
of course, a club isn't anything without DJs. Is there a DJ set you remember that you thought, well, oh my God, what did that girl or that boy or, well, guy do during that set? Because that really blew me away.
You mean other DJs?
Other DJs, yeah.
I mean, I remember seeing Green Velvet as Kashmir and Panorama Bar, and yeah, he played the little pills and thrills, and we all sang into a microphone, and it was just this really bouncy. It was what I imagine, like this bouncy. I'm guessing Chicago. I'm probably going to fluff up now. I think Chicago.
Yeah,
anyway, he's just playing this bouncy original sound, and I felt really blessed to see that. In 2020 at Elsa, Kitten played, and we were already feeling so lucky to be partying outside when a lot of the world was shut down.
Still shut down, yeah.
Yeah, they played a absolutely storming set from beginning to end, and I'm just such a fan. Hers, I'm not sure what her pronouns, maybe her or theirs, but yeah, she was amazing, and so that was one of my more recent favorite sets.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and talk about Green Velvet. He did like Austin Beach Festival a couple of years in a row. I think they didn't miss one of the editions, and he always did an after party as well.
Oh,
and that was so amazing. Amazing because the festival is done, and then crew and guests and whatever, and he just
sounds really fun.
Yeah,
like,
it was really great.
One of the original. Yeah, I've seen DJ Funk play at Block Festival. That was just wild.
Yeah,
absolutely wild. Oh, there's going to be more actually.
Probably, but I only asked for one, and I already got two. So that's cool. But that's cool. That's cool. It's It's really difficult to choose between DJs and performances because, if you've seen so many already,
that is also true.
It's so hard. And perhaps if we do this interview next week, perhaps
20 years of clubbing. There's been a lot.
In one quote.
Yes.
So, and what about yourself? Is there a DJ set that you played that you thought, well, I can't top this. This is, well, you're always going to try to top it, but that really sticks to mind that you say, well, this was really, everything was brilliant. And you may boast.
I mean, yeah, I do have those moments, but then I guess I just forget them again because I'm thinking about the next one. I think one Lecken, because that's the collective I'm in, and that's a very feminist, it is a feminist sexy party in Berlin. I mean, I could describe it a bit better. But there's loads of people around us.
You can whisper.
I can whisper. Yeah, it's it's just a feminist sex positive party that I'm involved in. I'm a resident of. And there was one. Just taking a sip of my beer just to make it more authentic. There was one party. We used to do it in this club called Untertage, which is a gay sex club next to a gay sauna. And it's just been designed immaculately. It's tiny but immaculate, and again, sort of, you have to go down the steps in there. You get no reception, and the way the place is designed is it's just amazing. And I did my first. I think it was my first closing set. I've been doing a lot of opening sets and middle slots, and I think this was like, okay, I think I'm finally ready to do that Berlin closing set, and it's Lecken. It's my family in the audience. And I played, and then I dropped Born Slippy, which is, a song from my childhood, watching Train Spotting. People cried. It was really
epic.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. And I was really just starting to play techno as well, and I think that's definitely one of my favorites. For sure. I like people's faces melting or exploding or crying, or I like emotion.
But music is emotion. So well, that's a nice one, and exactly, if you get to close up, it's a really great feeling because you kind of guide people towards the other day. You know?
In fact, I played the last Lecken. It was the last weekend before everything shut down in Berlin at the pandemic, and Yeah, I played. I played sort of towards the end, and then the owners of the club were so happy. They're like, "Yeah, we'll stay open another hour or so." And people ran up to me like, "Yes, Soph, get back on the decks." And I was already like a bit woo. My spaceship had taken off, and I was like, "Woo, okay." And I jumped back on, and I remember I had this phrase in my head, and it was just that I wanted us to move on into the morning with power. I didn't want this weird, trippy, everything slowing down. I wanted us to be like, I felt like we needed to go out into the day fighting somehow. Yeah, I can't remember I just had this, sometimes I just get this one sentence in my head. It becomes like a mantra. But I'm on the spot right now, so I need to think. It'll probably come to me like next week. I'll message you. This is what it was.
Yeah, and then I edited in.
We shall not surrender. That was it.
We shall not surrender.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that one of the clubs that you've been to the most then? Where you performed with...
Untertage.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, that's a really good point. Well, I guess I've played Renata the most because I'm a resident.
Yeah.
I play every month, either there or Elsa.
Okay.
I play Fold a bunch in London. That's like my London family home. I've played like most of the clubs in Berlin various times. Yeah. It's always fun when it's a new one that I haven't been to. I'm like,
It's always exciting to see new environment and perhaps a different crowd or different expectations. Do get different crowds
there.
Yeah. Is there a club that comes to mind that you've been at the most? So not performed at the most, but been at the most?
Yeah, I mean, I spent like 10 years going to Berghain.
Yeah.
So I don't go there now because I think my values have changed and I feel like I can't really relax there so much. And also...
because it's kind of intense, right?
It's intense, and like just being involved in a feminist queer party and knowing what our values are there and not feeling like those values are reflected in that club, and that's fine. Every club does what it does, every party does what it does, but if it's not reflecting my values, I just don't have as much fun, I don't think. And I spent a good 10 years going there, and so many memories, and it really was a part of my growing up. But now I just feel like I need to make music. Basically, I need to make music. That's my thing.
Yeah. That's the drive at this moment.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's like I've had years of clubbing and partying. Like, now let's just get on.
Yeah, and now you're kind of at the other side a little bit, providing the beats for other people to play.
Yeah. Hopefully other people are dancing away to it.
That's the aim. Anyway, so people talk about, good clubs, better clubs, and even best clubs. Is there, if you talk to other DJs, is there a club that comes to mind that you think, well, nowadays people are talking about this club and it's supposed to be, at this moment, the best in the world?
Well, I guess it was I don't want to say it in case I've said it wrong, but it was the one in Kiev.
Oh, yeah.
Is it K41?
Yes, something like that.
It changed its name. I never went, but that was the one that the whole of Berlin were going to.
Really, yeah?
Every weekend.
Okay, so
and just what I heard about it, I met someone. I did have a gig in Kiev, and I met someone who worked there on the plane back, and they were just telling me all about it. But I've heard so many stories, so I feel like that was a club that it was really exciting people, and a city that was really exciting people.
Yeah.
I played in Horum, upstairs of Bassiani, and I've heard great things about Kitty as well, and just playing in Tbilisi. And personally, I just love to play places where people love to play. Yeah, I just feel... It just feels important playing in places where people have felt the struggle and they really need to release.
Yeah, and I think what I gather is that in Eastern Europe there are a lot of places like that. Because people really connect with the DJ, are really attentive. It's not like, for instance, in the Netherlands, know this on the Dutch, of course. Wouldn't dare to, but because like during gigs or concerts or whatever, they tend to talk and in Eastern Europe, people are there for the
Yeah,
music,
actually,
for dancing, for.
You just
So,
reminded
yeah.
me of my gigs in Poland this winter.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, amazing crowds, amazing. They just love everything, and they knew.
Yeah.
They knew about they knew all the different rhythms, the different genres, like just the most awesome crowd. But yeah, I really want to. When I joined my agent and he asked me what sort of parties I want to play, and I was just like, I want to play queer parties, and I want to play places where it's really hard, where it's really difficult. Get me to the most effed up places, basically. And that's still my thing. Like, get me into difficult places.
Yeah, because it ups the experience for yourself as well, no?
Yeah, or just like it's more of a form of protest and solidarity.
Yeah. And I think really at this time, with all the shit that's going down,
it really is. I don't want to think like, oh, let me make everything better for you. No, like, let me just come and be in solidarity and fight the good fight and experience this and meet people and
and in that
it's
respect,
really important to me.
You know, people are resilient and
people are resilient. I think that's a really important thing to remember.
Yeah.
Pity isn't needed, is it? Humans are resilient, but solidarity, comradeship, that's what it's about.
Yeah, and I guess as soon as the situation over there is resolved, there's going to be an outpour of so much love towards
hopefully
that
an effort
country.
of rebuilding, but it's really hard to even imagine that. It's hard to imagine what the future holds.
No, but fingers crossed.
Yes.
Fingers crossed. Another question I had is, well, you perhaps have a bucket list of clubs that you really want to play at. Is there one at the top of that bucket list that you think, well, I haven't played there before and I really want to?
That's a really good question. Damn, yeah. I mean, I felt like this club, the K41 in Kiev, I mean, I was just like, wow, that sounds amazing. And I played closer there, so that was really cool. That was like a giant Renata. It's like cities as well. Like, I wanted to go back to Tbilisi for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to play Horum Nights. Like, I also think about like queer parties that I want to play. So like Horum Nights, I just felt really like, wow, like I just really love what they're doing. They're fighting the good fight in a place where it's difficult to be queer.
Yeah. So it's more like the atmosphere rather than a club that you would stake out? Yeah,
I think like what type of party as well. Because I just played in Lisbon with Lekken. We teamed up with our sister queer crew, Mina, in Lisbon, and they've just found this incredible space. It's like an office block out in the warehouse district, and it's as DIY as you can get. But holy shit, the crowd were amazing. Like, such a beautiful, beautiful queer crowd, and reminiscent of like older Berlin days. So yeah, it's kind of not always about the club, but also the party.
Well, that's a really good answer, and it's a good motivation as well. You know, that it's not really the place, but that's a combination of factors that you need to factor in. Or it's what you want. You know, you want to have a good place with a good system, a sound system, but the right crowd as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really funny about crowds. Yeah. I'm like a little bit known for being quite vocal about women to the front of the dance floor, not just women but petite people and people who need perhaps a bit of extra space or care. It really, really bugs me if it's just like a bunch of dudes at the front. That really, really gets my goat. I think I'm a bit older and grumpier, so I'm quite like I can even like remove people in a crowd and be like, right, no, come on, we need to change this. That really like
but that's
that
really
I just wouldn't want to play to.
Making your mark, I think, and setting an example as well for how it can be a better experience for everyone if it's done differently. Perhaps.
The club, a party is as good as its people. It's clubbers, and if we're not taking care of each other on the dance floor, what are we doing? We're just consuming. And isn't that what we're trying to get away from? Is capitalist, consumerist culture? that is what I'm trying to do anyway. So
Sure.
yeah.
And a lot of respect for that, of course. Where can people find you in the near future?
Yeah, that's also a good question. I am going to be going to Rotterdam for the first time to do a Perron and Renata night with Manny D, Sebastian Vogt, False Witness.
Yep.
I'm excited for that. I'm really excited to go to Rotterdam because it has a huge musical history. And I will be going to is it Den Haag?
The Hague.
Den Haag.
The Hague.
The Hague. Okay, yeah, The Hague.
Yeah.
I'm going there as well.
Yeah.
And I will be going back to Gdansk in Poland, which is, again, one of my favourite cities at the moment. I love it. I'll be doing Renata and Elsa. I'm going to do another Back Alley Sally's, which is a party I put on with 2 friends. We're going to do a queer party for CSD weekend. Oh, I'm going to Budapest to do a party with Omo.
Loads of stuff.
Yeah, Omo, this amazing queer party in Budapest, as I just said.
Yeah.
Who they're fighting the good fight out there. It's really hard to be queer in Hungary right now.
Yeah, I know.
They do it with such humour and tenacity. I love them to pieces. So yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really excited to check they're out. Yeah.
Well, I hope I can catch up with you at one of those gigs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those to choose from.
Yeah, I guess Rotterdam or
Rotterdam.
The Hague.
The Hague. Or The Hague is really close by to Antwerp.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
that's going to be later on, I think, July. Yeah. There's more. I don't know. It's
okay. Let's just make it happen somehow.
Exactly.
Right?
That's why I have an agent, just because I actually really struggle with what I'm doing and where I'm going.
But people can find that all on your socials and your website and
That's
whatever.
exactly right.
So I'll refer them to those sites.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so very much for being a guest in Back to the Clubs. It was really nice talking to you. And good luck with all the gigs.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon.
Yay, goodbye.
Yay. Lots of gigs coming up, loads of chances to see her at work then. It was lovely talking to S. Ruston outside in the sunshine. Don't forget to subscribe to Back to the Clubs in your podcast app and find me as @officialmajork on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and TikTok. Also, and even more important, go buy some dance music merchandise at flashinghotshop.com and support Ukraine. There's stuff from Jana Vitiligo over to Flash Forward Presents and of course Back to the Clubs tees. Get them while they're hot. See you next time and enjoy the sunshine. Bye bye.
Back to the Clubs with Major K.